In this lesson, we're going to have a look at an example modeled after Key to the Highway. Now, this is a classic blues tune, a staple blues tune, and one that you should really get to know. Both the rhythm and this sort of laid-back vibe that we've got going on here, but also the form. This is breaking away from 12-bar blues. This is an 8-bar blues, and it's a form that you really should get to know. Now, there are definitely variations on an 8-bar form, much like there are in the well-established 12-bar form. What we're going to do for this one is play our 1 chord for a bar and then move immediately in bar 2 to the 5 chord, which can feel a bit unnatural, but it's really cool, especially when we follow it up with bar 3 and bar 4 down into the 4 chord. And then our final 4 bars are the 1 chord followed by the 5 chord again, and then we do a couple of split measures, which I really love. We do the 1 chord, then the 4 chord, and then the final bar is back on the 1 chord split with the 5 chord. So that's what we're looking at here. Let's have a listen to the example, and I'll come back and take you through the chords, the changes, and how you can get this into your playing. All right, so we are playing this in the key of G, and we're playing this with all dominant 7th chords, and the chord shapes that you'll need will be this G7 here, and I'm playing sort of the little mini version of it here, but I'm hooking my thumb over it. You're going to hear that thumb played a little bit in the strumming, and I'll mute out that 5th string so that you're not going to hear that at all. So that's the G7 shape that I'll use, and you'll hear me walk into and out of that, and I'll point that out as we start going through the little example here. But we'll move into a D7 in this shape, so that's like a C shape. Put your little finger down on the 3rd string and then move it all the way up so our root note is there on the D note. And then for our C7, that's going to be our 4 chord. And by the way, this D7 is our 5 chord. So we go down a whole step to get to our C7 chord, and we're going to play this form, kind of like the A7 here. We just move that up into C7. All right, so we want to just kind of stay in this little compact area. Notice that pretty much everything I'm doing is right here, except for one little moment where I step down a half a step to this B7, just for a little chromatic chord move. But we'll get to all that. Just wanted you to know the chord shapes at play here. G7, D7, C7. All right, for the rhythm here that's at play, we're going to establish a structure of the rhythm. It really kind of creates this feel, this laid-back feel that we're going for here, and it's going to hold up all the way through until the last couple measures where we kind of shift into more of a closing out, a winding up part of the progression, as you normally do as you approach the final bar of a progression. Think about a turnaround in a 12-bar blues, for example. But what we're going to do right now is walk through the strumming of just the first measure, because that's really the pattern that's going to carry you through most of the tune. And we'll do it with just some strumming, but as we get a little bit deeper into the instruction here, you'll see there are some single notes picked to kind of connect us through the chord changes, but that rhythmic feel holds up. All right, so we're going to do a down strum followed by an up, and that's in 8th notes. So we've got 1 and. Then for beat 2, mute. You can do that just by placing your hand on the strings to stop it. And then on the and of 2, come back with another down strum. So we've got 1 and 2 and. Hold this over to the 3 beat. And then on the and of 3, we go up, 4's down, and a 4 up again. So this is what we have. All right. One more time, slower. All right, and you could strum through this entire progression just doing that, just using the chords and strumming yourself all the way through these 8 bars. All right, now I hope you felt that rhythm change as we entered the last couple of measures. The tempo didn't change or anything like that. We're just changing the duration of our strums. We started out just strumming really with the beat for bar 7. So just big downstrokes with a little upstroke kind of sneaked in there as we're changing chords. And then one at the end as we move from our C7 back to the G7. Then we go back to our established pattern. We just change chords in the middle of it. All right, now let's talk about those little single note connectors at the end of bars, kind of as we move into a chord change. The first one happens at the end of the first bar. We come up to the F sharp here on our way, and I like to do that with my middle finger because then I'm right where I need to be for this D7. And for that D7, I just let that D ring before I get back into my strumming pattern. The and of 4, instead of continuing my pattern there, I'm going to drop down to my C sharp here on my way to the C7 chord. So this sounds like this. Strumming. But here, for the second beat, I'm going to flatten this entire chord out to B7 and then come back up. On the and of 4, we're going here on the 4th fret on my way into the G7. Already done that. Then we're in that last little move. And there's quite a bit of this single note picking going on here. Let's have a close look at the last couple bars. All right, so what we're doing for the last couple of measures, there's quite a lot of this walking around on the 4th string happening. And what we're gonna do is start out with the 6th string, then strum through strings 4, 3, and 2. Come back, hit that 4th fret on the 4th string. We're starting our walk into a C7. So we're gonna land it here, and you wanna be in position to play this chord, and it's C7, but we're just dropping down because we don't need that note on the 5th string, that root C note. We're just gonna strum through strings 4, 3, and 2. Then we're gonna walk back down into G. So we kind of walk up into from G to C and then back. All right, and then once we're back, we're going to do that same move we've done already, come up to the 4th, and then into our D7. So it sounds like this. And of course, we're just ending back there on our G. Now, I hope you'll put this all together. You can play this as a nice, easy-going strummer, or you can add these little connector bits to kind of level up the complexity a little bit and keep things moving along melodically. You can kind of hear that fourth string moving and walking, which is to me a kind of interesting part to this example. But no matter what you do, I really urge you to get this chord progression down. This is a great form to get to know. 8-bar blues can really help expand your knowledge, your repertoire of songs. And if you listen for some cool ones, just like Key to the Highway, you'll be able to pick up on what's different. This is an 8-bar piece rather than a 12-bar piece. Things get exciting when you start to hear these in the real world in your listening.